Hello, whoa, this is Matt O'Leary, and I just got back from a trip to Scandinavia with my wife and another couple. We went to Denmark, we went to Norway. It was amazing trip. Got to see the Lofoten Islands, which are way up north in Norway. Went whale watching there. I also saw the city of Bergen, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, in Norway, which is probably my favorite city that we saw. We went to Copenhagen, we went to Aarhus, I learned how to drive a stick shift. I even went to a couple record stores during the time, so great trip, but I'm very excited to be back and looking forward to a summer filled with new videos, new album reviews. I think I'm going to do some videos where I just go through my vinyl collection. But today it's a review of the new Chon album, Homey, their second album. Chon is an instrumental progressive rock band from Southern California, in the vein of some technical metal groups like Animals as Leaders, Scale the Summit, or Intervals. But the djent thing, that heavy bottom-end chugging, isn't really there, which leaves them somewhere in between those bands and classic math rock groups like Toe or TTNG. And Homey comes after the incredible debut album Grow, which immediately set these guys apart from their contemporaries. And when I talk to friends about this band, or when I see somebody post about them on Facebook, it's usually referring to them as the standard of this genre overall. It's like if you like that fun, mathy, bouncy, feel-good stuff like Chon, then you probably like this other band and that other band, etc. And any band that can become the face of a brand after just one album must be doing something truly unique or special. Grow was an album, that despite its technicality was far from self-aggrandizing or boastful at all. It was really about the overall emotional impact and mood of the sound as a whole. Anything with this level of musicality or technicality, for me to really get into it, I feel like it has to have a couple things. The first is dynamic variation, and the second would be just memorable melodies. I feel like that's what gives it soul, that's what gives it humanity. And Grow, it totally had that for me. It was perfect in that respect. So I wondered if Homey could repeat that. The album does start on a very similar note with the tracks Sleepy Tea and Waterslides. Both of these feel very classic Chon, with dizzying structures and wandering riffs. There are some additions though, like on the first track Sleepy Tea, it's really obvious that the band's incorporating more layers on all the instruments. It doesn't just sound like they're playing live anymore on the album, instead it's more heavily produced, more heavily manipulated. And if you listen enough, you'll start to hear the multitude of guitar sounds on this whole record, whether it's a wah-wah or a delay effect. I don't know if the band's just using pedals or if they're actually switching guitars, or this could all be done in post-production, but whatever it is, the band is certainly mixing it up a lot more with their guitar sounds on this album than in the past. And the rhythm section too, the bass and drums are playing a much bigger role on this one than Grow. I feel like before they were there just sort of to support Mario and Eric's guitar playing, but now they're taking the lead much more often. Mario's brother Nathan's just killing it on the drums right off the bat. It's so fast. I love those crazy snare flams and fills on Waterslide. The snare is just cracking in such a satisfying way. And whoever they brought in on bass to replace Drew, their last bassist, is adding just a ton of amazing detail. There are some subtle runs and bends on the whole album, but especially on Waterslide. And honestly, I wasn't that upset to see Drew go. I didn't think he added a ton on the bass. And I saw these guys live 2 years ago in 2015, and he was such a smartass, such a douche on stage, and I don't have anything against him personally, but he definitely detracted from that experience for me. Berry Streets is the first divisive track the band threw on this album. I can see it kind of splitting fans up a little bit just because they're abandoning their progressive tendencies in favor of a more straightforward electronic pop sound, replete with these staccato start and stops and other little flourishes from their collaborator GoYama. I gotta say, the style didn't bug me that much. I feel like it's kind of a logical next step for the band, given this album's aesthetic is so, chill vibes. I mean, just look at the cover. And while this one chord progression does grow a little bit tedious for me on Berry Streets, the song does do well to evoke imagery of the sun, the beach, the waves. And I'd probably lump the track Feel This Way in there. It does well for the mood of the album, but it does grow tiresome in its repetition. The next couple tracks after Nayhoo really bring it back to Chon's wheelhouse with the 7/4 time on No Signal, or the tasty jazziness of Checkpoints with those ridiculous sweeps at the end. Nayhoo picks up right where Berry Streets left off, this time with a simple hip-hop beat and some guest vocals. And even though it's very different and I can see some Chon purists really not liking it, I am really digging it. It's not like vocals are entirely new for this band. They did have some vocal tracks on Grow, like Can't Wait, which is really a crowd pleaser, and then my personal favorite from the album, Echo, with its very pop-punk sounding vocals. And the vocal tracks I feel like are a great little addition for Chon because they kind of give you a break from the time shifts and the complexity. I feel like other prog rock, other math rock bands could really learn a lot from Chon because, you know, as they say, absence makes the heart grow fonder, and when you have a little bit of a break, a little bit of a rest from all the technicality and just in-your-face-ness, it kind of makes you appreciate it more when it does come back. It makes it more effective. And everything in moderation, right? I mean, you can't just smash away and noodle on your instruments for an hour and expect me to have a great time. I have too short of an attention span for that. What I'm getting at is, you know, you need to know the absence of a great thing in order to appreciate the presence of that great thing. And Chon do this very well. I mean, flow is a definite strength on Homey. Another standout track for me is the song Continue, with its hypnotic intro that leads into this bouncy jazz jam and Latin groove, and then back again into an ambient, almost trance. This whole structure feels very organic, very natural to me. I also love the closer wave bounce. Again, the flow is excellent with these rigid, clean, steady rhythms going into these undulating, almost formless free falls of notes and tom drums. It's like I put on a tie, I greet people politely, and then I go home and just roll on the floor and blah. I love Chon because they sort of act as a gateway band for two different extremes. You know, you got those people who love their metal, their technical stuff, their jagged guitars, their virtuosos, you know, and they can get into more vibey, feel-good stuff. But then on the other end, you have people who just want to nod their head to something, who can get into this more technical music through Chon. So which camp am I in? I feel like I respect bands like Animals as Leaders. You know, what they're doing is amazing, no doubt. The dedication they put in and just their musicality is off the charts. But I have to be like really wholly focused on it to get into it, just because, you know, if I start to zone out, it's loud, it starts to get aggravating. Animals as Leaders is kind of like a Marcel Duchamp painting. A futurist painting where it's really complex, really intricate, but it kind of elevates the machine above the human, and ultimately it's too robotic and a little lifeless because of that. Chon makes music I can get into intellectually if I decide to, but I can also just chill and relax to it, so, you know, it's a perfect middle ground for me. There aren't quite the same highs on Homey as there were on Grow, in my opinion. Those really memorable hooks and melodies like on Not or Book or Story, yet they managed to pull off that SoCal style with ease. There aren't really any albums I've heard of that chill this hard yet are so technically impressive. This band's in a league of their own. I think they're for sure a breath of fresh air in this technical metal world, and I think they can bring in a lot of different music fans, a lot of different kind of music listeners with this sound. So Chon's Homey gets a solid 7.5 out of 10 for me. That's it. Let me know what you think of this album, and thank you so much for watching.